Do you believe that if you failed in the past, that means you're necessarily going to fail again in the future? That's what we're going to talk about in today's Weekday Wisdom. Hi, this is Carma Spence, the Own Your Awesome Mentor. And in today's clip, I'm going to talk about the fascinating topic of the mind goblin that says, I've failed before, which means I'm going to fail again. That is a complete fallacy. Let's see what I had to say.
Today is really interesting. I'm going to be talking about vanquishing the mind gremlin that says, I've failed before, therefore I'm going to fail again. I did a little bit of research on this. It's really quite fascinating. There's not a lot on the internet you find, because most of it is really, really academic, but I've been able to kind of come up with some ideas of what it is, why it happens, and how you can beat this. Now, this belief that I've failed before, therefore I will fail again. There's a fallacy right there. Past failure does not equal future failure, for one. If that were true, I wouldn't be where I am today, because I have failed repeatedly in my life. I'm constantly failing. It happens all the time. But I'm also experiencing lots of success as well. And if you think about it, a lot of the big, famous people experienced lots of failures before they experienced success. Of course, there's a famous example of Edison. He failed how many times to invent the light bulb before he finally invented the light bulb? And a lot of famous people have talked about this concept of failure. Here is what Winston Churchill has to say about it. Success is going from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. So just inherent in that quote is the fact that you're going to experience failure as you move towards success. So just because you failed before doesn't mean you're going to fail in the future, but just accept that failure is a part of success. And here's what Beverly Sills says. You may be disappointed if you fail, but you are doomed if you don't try. So you need to keep on trucking. I don't know who this guy is. Sven-Goran Eriksson. Cool name. He said the greatest barrier to success is a fear of failure. And that's because there's this thing called failure syndrome. It also goes by other names such as low self-concept, defeated, frustrated, or if you really want to look this up on the internet, learned helplessness. So learned helplessness is this concept, and it happens both in animals and in people. But learned helplessness is someone or a creature of some sort experiences a negative experience of failure repeatedly, and at some point just gives up. In fact, probably the best example is a story you've probably heard a million times about the elephant. In order to train elephants to stay put when they're big and hard to deal with, you start training them as a little one, and you put these big heavy chains on their feet, and they learn that they can't break that chain. And after a while, you've got a grown elephant being held by a simple rope. They could easily break through, but they have learned helplessness. And apparently this is common in people too, especially around education, because that's where most of the research is. Let's say you've sucked at math in elementary school. And no matter what you do, you keep sucking at math and sucking at math and sucking at math. And then you get to a point where you just give up. You don't even try to do well in math. And the thing is, I know that that's a fallacy too, because, not that the fact that it happens, but the fact that just because you sucked at this kind of math means you'll suck at that kind of math, because math was not my strong point. I remember when I was learning the multiplication tables, oh my God, they were so hard. They would do these time tests, which was just the worst thing to do to me, because I don't do well under timed anything. And I would fail and fail. My teacher would hold me back after class and drill me some more to learn my stupid multiple. That's what calculators are for. Anyway, when I got in higher levels of math, I actually got into the accelerated math program because I did extremely well at algebra. Algebra, this higher level of math. However, for some reason, algebra just made sense to me. But 6 times 7 didn't. So go figure. So again, just because you failed at something like this before doesn't mean you'll fail again, because this new thing may be different enough that it's in alignment with how you're doing things. So anyway, this is how psychologists define learned helplessness. It's a condition in which a person suffering from a sense of powerlessness arising from a traumatic event or persistent failure to succeed is thought to be the underlying cause of depression. Now, that just fascinating stuff. And apparently, learned helplessness has been associated with several different psychological disorders: depression, anxiety, phobias, shyness, and loneliness, which can be exacerbated by learned helplessness. So, if you have failed in entrepreneurial ventures before, you can learn one of two things from that. You can learn A, I'm a failure and I will always be a failure and I should stop trying to be an entrepreneur. Don't learn that lesson. Or B, you can learn that, well, I learned how not to do it there and figure out why that didn't work for you. So for example, I've been a science writer for many, many years, and I got fascinated by the internet, so I joined an internet company, and then the dot-com crash happened. And at this point, I was like, I am fed up being a writer for other people because writers are the first people to be fired. I'm going to strike it out on my own. So I started off trying to be a copywriter. Copywriting is not really my forte. So then I thought, I'm going to start a gift basket business, because you should see the gift baskets I can create. They are beautiful. And I had created a gift basket for my then husband that was just absolutely stunning. And people would say, oh, Carma, you do that so well. You should do this as a living. So I researched how to do a gift basket business. And I even got into Mary Kay, because I thought it'd be really cool to do gift baskets with Mary Kay products in it. And I'm really, really good at creating gift baskets. I mean, they are beautiful. And I can do them so that they aren't very expensive but look fabulous. What I am not so good at is going up to people and saying, would you like to buy my gift basket? And at least with Mary Kay, there's a lot of in-person marketing that goes, and that's not my thing. I'm not good at that. And no matter how hard I try, it's just not my thing. And there's a lot of reasons why it's not my thing. It's not because I've failed before and not failed again. It's just, I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. It's not my thing. And so that's what I learned. I learned that although Mary Kay is a great business for some women thrive as Mary Kay because they're very outgoing and they're people, and that's great. I'm more of an introvert. I actually like to sit behind my computer and write. So wrong type of business for me. And so that was a big failure. I mean, I lost several $1,000s in that business because I eventually sold my product back and did not get all the money that I had put into the business because I bought all these other extra things to try and sell my products. And I could have gone away with saying, I just suck as an entrepreneur. But I didn't. And so I kept going, and I've come up with different business ideas. And main lesson, just because you failed before doesn't mean you have to fail again. But there are other ways to combat learned helplessness or the fear of failure or the belief that I failed before, therefore I'll fail again. First of all, you have obviously succeeded at something in your life, okay? Probably lots of somethings. Focus on those successes in your life so that you can combat that, oh, I failed, but I've really succeeded in this, this, and this. That's one way. Another way is to do things that build up your confidence. One way is to do something that you're good at, but there's also things like gratitude journals. And in fact, there's a whole bunch of exercises that are around forgiveness and release that can help you. In fact, I sell a meditation that is about releasing fear. And there's like these more spiritual practices that can help you get over that. Another one would be think bigger picture. And what I mean by this is don't get caught up in the little details. Yes, you may have failed at this or failed at, well, maybe you need to delegate those things. Think bigger, think broader, set goals that are achievable, baby steps. And I'm a big proponent of baby steps. Instead of saying, I'm going to go from here to the moon in the next 9 months, and then just have this big, well, how do you get to the moon? Oh my goodness, that's a big thing. Break it up into tinier steps that are much more doable. So like with information product creation, rather than saying, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to publish it, well, what's the first thing you need to do? The first thing you need to do is come up with your idea. So you come up with your idea. The next thing you need to do is figure out what about that idea are you going to write about? So do a mind map and then do an outline and then flesh out that outline. And before you know it, you've written a book, but you did it in baby steps and you had small successes along the way. Another thing is understand that you are growing and you are changing. So just because you've had failures in the past doesn't mean you're always going to be a failure. You can grow and you can learn and you can change. And then there's just looking at failure a different way. And I've written about this on my blog a lot. I heard a speaker, he was a world champion of public speaking in Toastmasters, and I heard him speak about his his speech was using the acronym FAIL. And he said that FAIL meant failure always inspires leaders. And I really loved his take on that. And what I loved about that is really, if you're going to be a success, failure doesn't stop you, it inspires you. It motivates you to figure out what went wrong and how to avoid it the next time. Now, I've been on here for over 10 minutes, and I hope that I've given you some really good information that can help you overcome and vanquish this particular mind gremlin, because it's really a mind gremlin that is keeping you tied to a rope while you're thinking you're tied by chains. You can break that rope. I know you can. Don't let past failures stop you from your future success.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip and got some real value out of it. This is Carma Spence, the Own Your Awesome Mentor, reminding you, don't box yourself in. Spread your wings and fly, because you, yes, you, are capable of more than you know. If you like this video, like it on Facebook. Comment below. Let me know what you thought, if you have additional ideas. And if you have questions that you'd like me to answer in a future video, please comment below. I will get to it as soon as I can, possibly next week. And I really want you to value the weekday wisdom and look forward to watching it. And I can only do that if you join in the conversation.